Please like, subscribe, share, comment, uh, anything like that. My videos are free. I don't charge anything. I don't get paid for any of my videos. So every little interaction helps get it out to more people. So thanks a lot and enjoy the video. Hi everybody. If you like me and you plan on coming to the Philippines, you do a lot of research on YouTube, watch a lot of bloggers here in the Philippines. And some give some very good information and some give some not so good information. So I'd like to give you information on 10 subjects from my point of view living here from America in the province. So in the city, things might be a little different from my point of view, but I'm not a city person. Is the Philippines paradise? Uh, Depends, what your ideal of paradise is. Sandy beaches, beautiful women, stuff like that. Well, if that's your ideal of paradise, yes. But the Philippines also has its drawbacks too. Like any country, you have nothing is perfect. There's going to be some things you don't like. For instance, maybe you're an impatient person. You don't like standing in lines for a long time or waiting to get something done in a government building for a long time. You could get very irritated at stuff like that. And there's other stuff as well. So I don't think paradise exists anywhere on earth. You have your good and your bad, no matter where you're at. Live like a king on $1,000 a month. No, that's not going to happen. $1,000 a month, you might be able to get by in the province. That's about 50 pesos, 50,000 pesos a month. So you're looking a little over 10,000 pesos a week. I mean, it can be done, but I don't think in the city things are more expensive there. Rent's more expensive in the city, everything. And you're not going to live like a Westerner on $1,000 a month here. Electricity. If you want to run your air conditioner all the time, electricity is very expensive. I've heard some American or Western bloggers say they run their electricity or air conditioning for a month. Their electricity bill was around $600 US. So that's something you'd want to consider. We run our air conditioner when we're sleeping at night. Sometimes we don't even run it at all. Our electric bill runs about, roughly $40 a month. The cost of fuel is more expensive here. If you have a motorcycle or vehicle, you're going to pay more in fuel. Gasoline here is around $4 a gallon. So if you're going to travel, you got to figure that kind of expenses. And traveling anywhere from one island to the other, you got a ferry or a plane ticket. That gets expensive. You can't, if you want to eat like a Westerner, like here in the province, don't really have that option. You don't have the same foods you can get in the city like Western foods, and Western foods are a lot more expensive here. Visas, you have to pay for visas every 2 months now, and that gets expensive. I don't remember the exact cost, but that eats up a big portion of your monthly expenses. Every year you have an ACRI card that has to be renewed if you're going to be here on tourist visa, or sometimes certain permanent visas you have to have that card and it has to be renewed every year. That gets expensive. So it's really not as cheap as everybody says it is. I mean, yeah, it's cheaper. You can survive here a lot better than you can on the United States on Social Security, but you're not going to live like a king on $1,000 a month. Poverty. That's one thing that does kind of heartbreaking here is the poverty. It's more in your face here. Like, I don't live in the city of the United States. I live out in the country, so it's not so much in my face like it might be in a big city like New York or San Francisco, somewhere like that. But here, it's a lot more widespread. You see it a lot more everywhere. Like if you're in Cebu, I've seen this myself, like a 3-year-old child sleeping alone on a sidewalk, or people sleeping wherever they can find a place to sleep. Put a piece of cardboard on the ground, sleep on that. So you have that. And everywhere you go, you have what Ann calls bajals, street beggars, people that will beg for money on the street. Usually they'll send children out to do it. Parents will send their children out to get money because they know you'll have a softer heart for a child, or they carry a child with them. And even out here in the province, it happens. Like here used to be, I go to the market or the service station or whatever, and be sitting there in the vehicle while Ann's in the market shopping, and somebody knock on the truck door window and hold their hand out, and you can tell them no, 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 I don't have it or whatever, and they will almost refuse to leave. And there are some, I've seen cases, and I've heard this from Ann's son, if you don't give them a few coins, they'll scratch your truck, or I've seen one where a person was spit on. So be aware of stuff like that. It doesn't happen that often. They get angry. Usually they'll just walk away. But they're very persistent. Here where I live in this municipality, they put an ordinance out now. And I no longer see bajals here. It doesn't happen at all anymore like it used to when I first got here, because they put an ordinance. They don't allow street beggars, and if you give them money, you can face a fine of 1,000 pesos. But poverty is very prevalent here, and sometimes it can be very heartbreaking. The noise. A lot of people can't handle this. It doesn't bother me because I was raised on a farm in Kentucky, so I'm kind of accustomed to chickens and dogs and stuff like that. But you have a lot of roosters crowing all hours of the day and night, dogs barking all the time, and there are a lot of dogs here. They don't have leash laws, and they don't neuter or spay their dogs, so you have a lot of feral dogs running around here, which is something else I'll bring up in a later subject. So you have that kind of noise going on all the time, and karaoke's big here. A lot of people have karaoke machines in their houses, and they will sing karaoke all hours of the night, and they turn it up loud. When they sing, they want to be heard, so they'll turn that thing up as loud as it can go. I've even had to take Ann's and adjust it down a little bit without anybody knowing. So if they see this, they're gonna know, but I've done that because it gets so loud. But here where I live in the province, my house is kind of separated from the other houses, got a little bit of distance. So when the neighbors sing karaoke, it's not too much of a problem. Yeah, I can hear them if I'm sitting outside. Come in the house, might hear them a little. But if I go in my bedroom and close the door, even if we're having a party here, if they're singing karaoke out on the porch or whatever, I can close my door and turn my TV up, and it doesn't really bother me that much. Or I come in here to the computer and put my headphones on and watch YouTube videos or whatever, and I can kind of get away from it. Everyone speaks English. That's not necessarily true. I mean, yeah, for the large part they do speak English, especially in the cities where they have a lot of exposure to foreigners. Because like places like Manila, Cebu, you see a lot of foreigners from all countries. Here where I live, I only Americans I've seen have been passing through. Someone might stop in and visit me or something if they're passing through and know where I live or something like that. Like a YouTuber, uh, somebody watches me on YouTube, found me and come visit me. It was a real pleasant surprise because his wife lives not far from here, and our wives know each other. But you do have a lot of different languages here. You've got the national language of the Philippines is Tagalog, and that's spoken in most places. All islands actually speak it, but in like Cebu and Mindanao, they speak what they call Bisaya. I think we call it Sabuno, something like that. So out here in the province where they don't get a lot of exposure to English speaking people, especially if they're older, they don't really speak a lot of English. Like a lot of times I'll be somewhere and I'll be trying to talk to somebody that works in a store or something like that, or somebody that Ann knows. And if I speak English, a lot of times they'll smile and hide their face maybe and say, I can't speak English, or say something to Ann, they laugh, about it. And they're kind of ashamed to try to speak English because of grammar. And that's one thing I noticed when I first got here. Me and Ann were with her friends sitting outside, everybody just talking or at a party or something. She would barely speak to me in English, maybe a few words here and there. And one time I asked her about this, why don't you speak to me when we're with family or something like that? And she told me, she said, because if you speak English, somebody else will make fun of you or laugh at you for your grammar. And I told her, I said, well, in America, I don't speak that much good grammar either. So I don't care what the grammar is as long as I can figure out what they're saying. But that is an issue here in this part. Now, the younger people speak English pretty well. The college students all speak it. Most doctors and lawyers can speak it pretty well. But the common people out on the street in the province here, they speak very little English, very little at all. So sometimes, like when the workers are here, I have to have Ann translate between us a lot of times. So you do, there are like, I think almost 200 different Filipino dialects. So yeah, English is spoken to an extent, but if you get out away from the city, be aware you might have a little trouble communicating with some people. Now, I do have friends here in town that do speak good English. A couple of people I know, and have no problem with communicating with them. And if I go to the hardware store or something like that and I ask for something, sometimes I have to take my phone and show a picture because some of their words are different than ours. Like, for instance, for them, if you call somebody a maniac, or if they call you a maniac, you're six at it. With us in America, somebody driving fast, you say, look at that maniac, or something like that. That for us, that can mean a few different things, but here it means you're a sex addict. A lot of times, if I ask Ann for directions, if we're in town, I say, where do we need to go? She'll say, go there and point in a direction. They won't tell you, like, go up to the few blocks or kilometers or whatever and make a right or left or whatever, and it's on the left side. It's just go there. And so I always say, well, there could be anywhere, but that's the way they communicate that. So if you're asking somebody for directions, uh, sometimes if they don't even know how to get somewhere, they'll give you directions because they don't want to say they don't know. That's part of their culture. So directions can be a challenge here. And you might have heard this one before, but I'll go ahead and say it anyway. If you ask a Filipino where something is, they might go, no, that's not an invitation to kiss. And you might get slapped if you try. But what that means is they point with their lips. They don't point with their finger. They go over there or raise their eyebrows or something like that. Because one thing about the culture here, and I do break this a lot of times, is you're not supposed to point your finger at people because that is an insult. And I catch myself doing it. It's such a habit from America, you know, that person or whatever. But be aware that could start a fight. Religion and superstitions. Now, most people know that Philippines is the only Catholic country in Asia because of uh, the Spanish having control here for so long. They converted everybody pretty much Catholic. Now, you do have other religions as well. I think the second largest one is probably a Muslim religion or Islamic, because here in Mindanao you have the highest concentration of Muslims of any other part of the country. So there are mosques here and stuff like that. But not everybody that's Christian is actually Catholic. There are some Protestant religions here, like Anne and her family, I think, are mostly what they go to the Alliance Church, which is kind of like a Baptist or Methodist church, a Christian church, and you have other Christian faiths here. And I've read that there are even some Buddhists. So you do have a mix of religions, just the largest majority of them are Catholic. And superstitions, like in America, my parents or friends would say, my hand itches, somebody's going to give me money. Well, they have that same superstition too. I mean, for them, it's a real super. For us, it's a joke mostly. But a lot of times, if your hand itch, that means you're going to get money. I've read about other superstitions where you don't sweep the floor at night, it's bad luck. Uh, you, when we were building the house here, I have the bedroom, two small bedrooms, and the master bedroom across the hall from each other. And on my plans, I had the door for the master bedroom and one of the small bedrooms directly across the hall from each other. And they said, no, you can't do that. That's bad luck. They have to be offset from each other. You can't line the doors or windows up directly across from each other. So also, uh, when we bought the car, uh, they had killed a goat for a party, and they took some of the blood and put it on the tires and said a little prayer. It's to bless the truck for good luck, you know, to have good luck with your vehicle, no problems. Same thing here with the foundation of the house. When we started building the foundation, pouring the concrete for that, they said we have to kill a goat. And I said, well, don't have a reason to kill a goat. We're not having a party. I really don't want to buy a goat to kill. And they said, well, a white chicken will do just as well. But the animal has to be white, apparently. So bought a chicken, and they killed it, put the blood in, and some coins in the foundation for good luck and a little prayer. And then we gave the chicken to the workers, and they cook it, then ate it. So you have superstitions like that. There's also, I've heard this mentioned a few times by Anne, is we see a butterfly and she'll say it's my father or somebody in her family that has passed away coming to visit. Uh, we've heard that people say that about if a redbird or cardinal comes around, somebody you love that's passed away is coming to visit. Well, for here it's butterflies. And there is also, I've heard and mention of the white lady, which is basically a ghost in white. And one time we live in the other house, she said, I just thought I saw the white lady, and told me all about it. So you have little superstitions like that. There's a lot of others that you could probably heard of that I'm not going to go through, but uh, like any country, I guess everybody has their own superstitions. Like we, you know, throw salt all over the shoulder or whatever that, stuff like that. Don't walk under a ladder, stuff like that. 7 years of bad luck if you break a mirror. So there's stuff like that.